You want it to be one way.
What?
You want it to be one way.
Man, I don't
You want
know
it
what
to be
you...
one
Man,
way.
stop! Stop saying that.
But it's the other way.
All right. It's your boy Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. How y'all doing, YouTube? Shout out to all my subscribers, man. Shout out to all the subscribers in the past recent week or so. Really been getting a lot of interest and a lot of feedback from new subscribers. Really appreciate that, man. Golden, man, golden. If this is your first time watching a segment of the ATP Combat Media Show, I encourage you guys to go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and remember to hit that bell icon so that you're getting all the alerts when this content is dropping. That being said, Merry Christmas, and we're getting ready for the new year. The year is about to end, and we have to go into the Fighter of the Year or of the Year series that I'm going to be actually going to be putting out. Starting off with this one, this is going to be the Fighter of the Year segment. We won't be coming up with ultimately a Fighter of the Year in this segment, as I still am myself weighing out which direction I'm going to go into to give that award to. But I did narrow it down to 3 fighters. I do have an honorable mention as well. We'll go through that. This year's been a great year for boxing. We've had controversy. We've had undisputed championships. 2 undisputed championships decided this year. We've had great fights as well going on this year. And, a lot of candidates could possibly make it, but you got to make a decision, right? So I've narrowed it down to 3. I'm going to go through those 3 with you guys. You guys get an opportunity to put a comment in there and let me know which way you guys are leaning. And probably in a few days or so, I will come out with my Fighter of the Year award, who I think deserves to be Fighter of the Year. We will start. I have 3 fighters that I'm going with. Terrence Crawford is on top of the list. We have Monster Inoue also on that list, and we have Devin Haney on that list as well, as candidates for Fighter of the Year. I focus my Fighter of the Year selection this year around championships, around traditional boxing accolades and criteria that I feel like what boxing represents. These candidates that I picked represent that to me. They represent what I like to see in a fighter who's looking to chase legacy, looking to chase greatness, who's challenging themselves, who's taking risk to be great. And I feel like these candidates did that. You know, they fought the best of the best, and they made proving that they were the best the priority in their careers at this point. And as a fan, I can definitely appreciate that. So we'll start off with Devin Haney on that list. Devin Haney had a great year. We'll actually start him from June of last year, June 22nd. And the reason you'll see me do that with both these, with all of these candidates, because with all these fighters, because a lot of them, really towards the ending part of last year, really started their journey to being where they are today. And then being that they are undisputed champions, I wanted to go ahead and start their attributes to when they actually started on that journey, right? The only one I won't really go there is Terrence, because Terrence really started like years behind, back in the day, right, with the 140-pound weight class undisputed championship that he was able to get. But with Devin Haney, we'll go back to June 5th, 2022, where he challenged George Kambosos, had to actually travel to Australia to get an undisputed title, his first undisputed title. He went over there with a WBC title and wanted to go ahead and unify, bring all those titles together and become an undisputed champion. George Kambosos did not make it easy for him, had all these stipulations, said that it had to be in Australia, how much money Devin was going to get, and Devin put all that to the side and chose his legacy first first. Went against the whole entire country in Australia, went out there and dominated George Kambosos, came back to United States with an undisputed lightweight championship in the 4-belt era, which was amazing. On top of that, there was a rematch clause that was there with George Kambosos where he prepared himself just in case he lost. He was going to get his opportunity to get his get back. Inside of that agreement, it involved Devin Haney actually going back to Australia to become but to defend his undisputed titles. He did that successfully, went there again, 135 pounds, made the weight, traveled to Australia. Keeping in mind, of course, the first time that they had that fight in Australia, there were travel issues with his father, somebody who has trained him for most of his career. He was willing to go to Australia and fight without his father there, going with Mr. Judah, Zab Judah's father. Went with him to go out there with aspirations of becoming undisputed champion, and he did. And then push up the date to October 16th of 2022, where he did go back to Australia to defend those titles against George Kambosos again, and he dominated him even worse that time around. Came back undisputed champion. Now move it up to May 20th of 2023, where he would have to defend the title against former undisputed champion in the light heavyweight division, Vasily Lomachenko. He is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the game at one point in time. Did have a little bit of a hiatus as he went to go and defend his country. He's from Ukraine, and Ukraine did have an issue with Russia. Still do have an issue, but he went to go fight for Ukraine, but did make a comeback to challenge the champion, Devin Haney, at the time. In Madison Square Garden, Devin Haney did beat him on a very close contended fight. Some people do believe that Lomachenko won the match, but at the end of the day, the judges did find it in favor for Devin Haney. He defended his title successfully. Then after that, he was trying to figure out what his next move was going to be. He could have defended the title again at lightweight, but he was having a difficult time making that weight in the first place. Like, once again, just facing all kinds of adversity to become undisputed at the lightweight, in the lightweight weight division. And he decided to go ahead and vacate those belts, and he made a move up to the super lightweight division to challenge Regis Prograis, who was the WBC super lightweight champion. They had the fight in his backyard in San Francisco. He sold out I want to say it was a Chase Center. Don't quote me. Whatever the big arena is in San Francisco, which is, pretty much his hometown. His father and his mother are from Northern California. Even though he was raised in Henderson, Nevada, that was his hometown, and they came out and showed up for him. He went, challenged Regis Prograis, dominated him in a 12-0 on all three judges' cards. In all honesty, the only thing I think could have been better in that fight is I would have liked to see Devin Haney finish Regis Prograis, being that he was dominating so bad. It looked like Regis Prograis was there to be finished, and it looked like he consciously made a decision not to pursue the finish unless he wanted to really just fall in line with whatever his game plan that him and his father came with to make that fight. But I don't even think that's something to complain about, because it was such a dominating fight. And on his pursuit to greatness, now has the WBC Super Lightweight Championship belt. The world is his oyster right now. He's presently trying to coordinate a fight with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia wants to challenge him for that championship belt, and he has so many other fights that could potentially happen for him based off of his performance this year. So I definitely think he's earned the right to be a candidate on this list. He chose boxing over everything. He's challenged himself in so many different ways, challenged himself on making the weight, challenged himself on traveling around the world to fight, challenged himself to fight the best in each division, challenging himself over and over and over again, and I think that needs to be recognized. So Devin Haney is definitely a candidate for Fighter of the Year here with ATP Combat Media. Now moving on to the next fighter, which is going to be Monster Naoya Inoue. I always have a hard time saying his name, but this is a fighter out of Japan, fights in the bantamweight and super bantamweight division. Small fighter, but really once again encompass what I believe being a great boxer is: choosing to chase destiny, chase greatness by challenging himself at all times. We're going to start this one for Monster Inoue. We're going to take it back to June 7th of 2022, where he went and had a rematch with Nonito Donaire. Nonito Donaire, a well-decorated fighter, a great fighter. undeniable on his talent, was fighting. Nonito came to fight Monster Inoue for a second time, being that their first fight did go to a decision, and everybody was very was enamored by how competitive that fight was. Even though Nonito wasn't in his prime, he still just, you know, did such a good job fighting Monster Inoue, and a lot of people were just like, I don't know, man. Nonito's kind of the guy who's been there. Monster Inoue was like the new guy, and you know, we just wanted to put a stamp on who was the best. So Nonito came back up to fight him again, and you know, some belts on the line, of course. Monster Inoue was actually able to stop him in the second round of that fight, which was just a defining stoppage. It really just kind of put the line in the sand, like, I am the best. There's no discussion. There's no judges making a decision and some people agreeing with the decision and some people not agreeing with the decision. He was able to stop Nonito early in the second round of that fight. Then we'll move the dates up to December 13th of 2022, where he did go up to fight Paul Butler to challenge him for the belts. This was going to be a unified championship match, as well as going to crown whoever won this fight as the undisputed champion of the bantamweight division. Well, challenging a competitive fight, but Monster Inoue once again able to stop Paul Butler in the 11th round of that fight, and that was a defining moment for him, because now he's an undisputed champion in the bantamweight division. Now, if that wasn't an accomplishment enough, he literally vacated his belts at that point and put in to challenge Stephen Fulton for Stephen Fulton's 2 belts that he had in the super bantamweight division. Stephen Fulton is a huge talent from out of Philadelphia. A lot of people favored him to win that fight. Such a talented guy. Monster Inoue went in there and, you know, had a very competitive fight with Stephen Fulton, but the way he was moving in that fight, it just really showed the world who he really was. Because a lot of these fighters, like I said in the beginning of this part, in this segment of the recording, that because he's from Japan, you know, and he's fighting over there, they don't really, you know, American boxing has sort of an arrogant type of energy about it. I can admit that as an American, to think that we do have the best boxing in the world, and unfortunately, if you're not fighting over here regularly, it's hard for us to really respect you. We really feel like we have the best boxing in the world. Well, Stephen Fulton was one of our best. He represented us in every single way. Fast, great boxing IQ, great muscle reflexes, decent power, decent power. He was the best without a doubt in the super bantamweight division up until that point when he fought Monster Inoue, and Monster Inoue just made him look regular. I'll be honest with you. He just had him frozen, the way he was moving, the way he was counterpunching him. I mean, it was just an amazing fight, and ultimately ended up stopping Stephen Fulton. Fast hands, hard punches. You can't beat that. Must see boxing. Then we'll move it up to December 26th of 2023, which is a day and a half ago, right? At this point, he's challenging Marlon Toplis for his 2 belts that he had, and this would also make him undisputed. So he did go and fight Marlon Toplis in an exciting barn burner, firefighting sort of fight where 2 punches were in there. Marlon Toplis was staying on his ground, fighting flat-footed, and Monster Inoue could have probably moved around a lot and made it this boxing match that, could have been a little more boring. No, he tapped in, he put his feet down, he went head-to-head with Marlon Toplis and was just efficiently breaking him down, knocking him down in the 4th round, and then taking it to the 10th round to where he knocked him down, and ultimately Marlon Toplis was not able to answer the 10 count, made Monster Inoue undisputed champion in the super bantamweight division. When you look at the timeline of this, Monster Inoue was able to get 2 undisputed titles inside of a year and a half. I think that's super impressive. Definitely one of the main reasons why he made it to my list to be fighter of the year. Monster Inoue still wants to stay at the super bantamweight division and defend his belts. He wants to stay there for a little while, and I think it's just honorable all in all. I think championships make champions, and these fighters really capture that for me. So for that reason, Monster Inoue definitely has made my list for a potential candidate, for a actual candidate for fighter of the year in 2023, as far as ATP Combat Media is concerned. And last but never least, we're going to go to Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, Terrence Bud Crawford only had 1 fight this year. In all honesty, he had a fight against Errol Spence, but that fight held so much weight. Why did it hold weight? A lot of people favored Errol Spence to be the fighter, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world outside of Terrence Bud Crawford. So he literally was fighting the next best thing outside of fighting himself, right? Errol Spence was favored by a lot of analysts because of how powerful he was, how strong he was. He had a very destructive strategy when it came to fighting fighters, breaking them to their body. He broke Ugas's eye. He broke Kell Brook's eye and cheekbone. He beat Danny Garcia. He beat Sean Porter. He just beat the creme de la creme of the welterweight division. The only person he didn't have on his list was Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford, on the other hand, who also fought Sean Porter. He fought Amir Khan. He fought Kell Brooks. He had his share of fights as well. But ultimately, being that he was dealing with an issue where he was at top rank and that all the great fighters in the welterweight division were at PBC, it was very difficult for him to get the matches he needed to get the accolades that Errol Spence had accumulated. But going into the fight, boxing enthusiasts and pundits alike really did favor Terrence Bud Crawford because we understood that he was the better boxer. But the question was always there in the back of our mind: how was Terrence going to deal with the strength of Errol Spence? Well, on July 29th, 2023, we were able to get those questions answered as Terrence Crawford was able to dominate Errol Spence in all facets of the fight. It was a one-sided beatdown. Terrence Crawford really not only just beat Errol Spence, but really separated himself from Errol Spence as far as in boxing IQ and boxing abilities. Really just showed that there's levels to this game, and although your favorite fighter may be good, I am the greatest. I really feel like that fight was a statement within itself. Watching the way he fought that fight, didn't even break a sweat. Now, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence do have a rematch clause that Errol Spence reactivated. Supposedly this fight is getting scheduled for 2024, maybe around March possibly, or maybe April. For that rematch to happen. So that rematch will happen. We'll see who win. May the best man win, or wish both gentlemen all the luck in the world. But right now, Terrence Crawford, by winning that fight, did become undisputed champion, and now became the first man in the history of boxing to be an undisputed champion in the 4-belt era, being that he was also undisputed in the super lightweight division and came up to the welterweight division and was able to get the same accolades. That is impressive. Also up there, in my opinion, for fight of the year, for how epic that fight was. But because of that and all the difficulties and adversities that Terrence Crawford had to face to get that fight, as far as in the negotiation, if you guys are familiar, the negotiation was upside down. It took a long time to get that fight put together because Terrence Crawford would not dismiss his own value. That within itself is honorable. He was on the walk away from that situation if they weren't going to treat him fairly. And ultimately, he ended up getting everything he felt like he deserved. So a lot of people had opinions on what Terrence Bud Crawford was worth. Fans of Errol Spence, fans of boxing, I guess you could say. I think more so fans of Errol Spence were very upset with the way Crawford negotiated. Felt like he didn't use honorable tactics. Whatever your decision might be, that's your personal opinion. But the reality is, however you think he should have done it, the way he did it got him what he wanted. He was successful in the negotiations, and then he was successful in the ring. And for that reason, I have to give Terrence Crawford his accolades, and he definitely will make it to my list for fight of the year. Now, you guys have what I see. I'm dying to see what you guys see. Let's see in a few days who the fighter of the year is going to be that I pick. Please, in the comment section, let me know what you think. Help me out. Which way should I be leaning and why? What are you guys thinking? What are your criteria? Are these guys checking the boxes? Only one fighter can be fighter of the year. Everybody else will be who they are. Oh yeah, my honorable mention. I definitely have an honorable mention. Now, I don't think this guy's going to get the fighter of the year from me. I just think these other three guys have done so much. It's difficult to give him that fighter of the year. But I got to acknowledge, I wouldn't feel right if I didn't acknowledge David Benavidez. The Mexican monster, David Benavidez, had a great year. You know, he's really, in my opinion, been shorted on his opportunity to become undisputed champion. I believe if he had that opportunity with the current undisputed champion in Canelo Saul Alvarez, I believe that he probably would be undisputed now. And if he did get that fight and became undisputed, he would have definitely been on that list. I don't know which one of these guys I would have took off the list if he did that. I'll be honest with you. I ain't going to tell you who I would have taken off, but you guys probably can figure out who I would have taken off. But regardless, that didn't happen. He didn't get to become undisputed. But man, did he show out this year having a fight with Caleb Plant, then go ahead and having a fight with Demetrius Andre, just challenging himself, always showing that he's willing to fight the best. And I think that's admirable and should be acknowledged. Next year should be a big year for David Benavidez, whether it's him getting the opportunity to go ahead and fight Canelo Alvarez to become an undisputed champion in the super middleweight class, or whether it's him fighting David Morrell or just knocking everybody else down in that super middleweight division, or even doing something great. Maybe he might dare to be great and move up to light heavyweight, where he'll go and challenge either Dmitry Bivol or Artur Beterbiev. He has a lot of options, but he's garnering a lot of attention, a lot of well-deserved attention. So he's definitely going to be there in my honorable mention for Fighter of the Year. But like I said, you guys let me know what you think. It's getting close to that time. It's about to be a new year. We're going into the 2024, so let's go into that year the best way. Let's go in setting the standard for what we want to see these fighters represent next year. And that's what I think Fighter of the Year should be. I think Fighter of the Year should be a clear example, and they should represent what you want to see out of all the fighters that you love next year in 2024. But on that note, please remember, subscribe, comment, like. If it's your first time, hit that bell icon so you guys can go ahead and get those alerts when I'm putting out this video content. Let me know in the comments who you have as your Fighter of the Year. But on that note, it's your boy Claymore Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. And until the next time, we out.
They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out. Yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment.